Thank you for tuning in to our second series of Breadcrumbs podcast with me, your host, Barbara Smith. Gather around with your little ones because it's kids' story time. Hello, everyone, boys and girls, moms and dads, and whoever might be listening from around the world. I just wanted to let you know today that it doesn't matter your age, how old you are, how young you are. You can be a witness of the wonderful things that Jesus has done for you in your life, of the things that He has done in your family, for your moms and dads, maybe grandmas and grandpas, a witness of the wonderful things that are happening at your church, maybe wonderful things of healing, wonderful things of salvation that you might have seen with your own eyes. Not just things that you read about or that somebody else tells you about, but the things that you see and witness with your own eyes, you can tell other people about. That's what happens in the courthouse when they say, I'm going to call so-and-so to be a witness. I'm going to call so-and-so to be a witness. That means that somebody has actually seen what has happened in an accident or a crime or something that has happened, and they come and they tell what they have seen. In the Bible, many times you hear the apostles say, I was a witness to this or that. They were witnesses to the miracles of God. Remember, we told the story about the feeding of the 5,000 people, how that Jesus broke the bread, the 5 little loaves and the 2 little fish, and He fed all of those multitudes of people. The disciples were witnesses. They were eyewitnesses. They saw it for themselves. There's a lot of things in your life that you can see and know that God is doing, and those are called miracles in your own life. You are a witness. You can tell others about it. Telling others about Jesus helps them to come and see for themselves and find out for themselves about healing or salvation or peace, the wonderful things of Jesus. Let me tell you a little story about a little girl who was a witness. Once upon a time in the Bible, in the Old Testament, there was a man named Naaman. He was a great man and a captain of the army of Syria. And he had done many great things. He had led armies. He had brought people captive and won many wars and battles. But he had leprosy. Leprosy is not seen much today, but in the Bible times we hear about it a lot. And leprosy was a disease that just began to eat the skin of people. It would eat your skin and then eat your body parts, and your finger would fall off or your arm would fall off. It could get so bad and you could have sores all over you. The people that had leprosy, they would put separated from everybody else. We would call it quarantined, like we had in the pandemic, the 2020 COVID virus. They were calling it a pandemic and having people be separated and quarantined and wear masks and things like that. That's what happened with people that had leprosy. They would be put into a separate camp to live with other people that had leprosy. They called lepers because they thought it was so contagious and they thought it was so awful. And we know how that when we hear people have cancer or people have the flu, people are sick, have the sniffles, anything. When we hear that they're sick, we don't want to be near them. We want to stay far away. That's how it was. This great man, this captain of the army, had leprosy. And there was a little girl from Israel that had been brought and taken captive. She had become the servant girl to the household of this great leader, Naaman. And she said one day to her mistress, she said, I sure do wish we had a prophet here. There's a prophet in Samaria. I sure do wish we had him here, because if we did, then he could tell Master Naaman how to be healed of leprosy and how that our God could heal him. Ooh, what an interesting concept. They had never heard that before. They didn't know anything about a great big God that could actually heal somebody of leprosy. So she kept telling him about it and telling him about it. He went to the king of Syria and he told him, I would like to make a trip to go and find this prophet, go and find someone in Israel that could heal me of leprosy. So the king said to his captain Naaman, he said, go ahead, I will write a letter for you to the king of Israel. I will send you on your way to go see if you can find healing from leprosy. So Naaman gathered up a bunch of money. He put things on his donkey, clothing, things that he could give as gifts. He had the letter from the king Syria to the king of Israel, and he went on his way and came to the king and gave him the letter. The king of Israel said, what? Who am I? Am I God that I could heal you of leprosy? Does the king of Syria have a plan to come against me? What's going on here? Even the king of Israel knew that he did not have the power to heal anyone. And so he was very upset that they thought that he could be as God. But that's okay. The prophet of God, Elisha, heard about this and said, let him come to me, and I will inquire of God if he can be healed, and he will know that there is a God in Israel. So the king of Israel sent Naaman to the prophet Elijah. So the little maiden girl's plan was working. She had told him about God and told him about the prophet. And here Naaman comes to the door of the prophet and knocks on the door and said, someone has told me about your God and about the prophet. I have come to get healing from leprosy. Well, Elisha sent his servant Gehazi to the door and said, what's going on? They had a little chit-chat. He goes back to the prophet. The prophet sends him back to the door and tells Naaman, Naaman, you need to go to the river Jordan and dip into the river Jordan all the way down 7 times. And if you do this, then you will be clean from leprosy. Well, Naaman was very upset. He was very insulted, and he said, I would have thought that the prophet could at least come out to me and talk with me, lay hands on me, and maybe I could be healed. And the prophet said, I have given you the message of what you need to do. And so he told him again, go to the river Jordan and dip 7 times. So Naaman said, this is an insult. There are other rivers and other lakes and other waters in this region that are much more beautiful and clean. The river Jordan is muddy and nasty, and you have asked me to do this thing. And he walked away, sad that he had not just been laid hands on and been healed automatically. He thought that he deserved that respect. But as they walked away, his servant said to him, Master Naaman, if this prophet had asked you some great thing and given you great riches and given you the limelight to be in the limelight, you would have gone and dipped yourself in those beautiful waters or done some great thing that might be very expensive to you or might cost you a lot of time and effort. But he has only asked you to go dip yourself 7 times in the water. Yes, it may be muddy, but isn't it worth a try? Naaman was still upset. He had offered the prophet money, offered gifts, come to his door, and he had gotten no response. They didn't want his gifts. He just felt upset. But he said, okay, I will go and I will give it a try. You are right. This is not a big thing that was asked of me. So he goes to the River Jordan and he dips himself all the way down, like dunking in the swimming pool, all the way down 7 times. And when he came up, he looked at his skin, he looked at his body, he looked at himself, and his body was just as fresh as a brand new baby. Totally healed, all the way healed. He was so thrilled and so thankful, and he went again to the prophet and tried to offer him gifts and money. And the prophet said, "It is not me that has healed you. It is God that has healed you. I do not need your gifts and your offerings. It is for us to offer sacrifices unto God and not to men." The prophet never came out to see him, but the prophet did get in contact with God, and God did heal him. And Naaman went on his way, totally healed, back to his country, because one little girl told him about God, told him about the things that she had seen when she was back in Israel in her country, told him about the prophet, and God came through. When we tell others about Jesus, when we tell others of what we have witnessed and what we know and how God has healed maybe us or someone in our family, or how God has saved us or someone in our family, or has given us peace, has met our needs, has done different things in our families, God will come through if they come to Him and they seek Him and they come to see what you're talking about. Maybe they come to church with you. Maybe they come to Sunday school with you or go to a church camp with you. God will hear them when they come to Him and ask for forgiveness or ask for healing and show that they believe, because God responds to that. We see it, we know it, and then they can find out about it when we tell them and we witness to them about Jesus. That makes Jesus very, very happy. That is exactly what He wants us to do, is tell others about Him so they can also come and become friends with Jesus and have healing and salvation. So don't think that you're too little. Moms and dads, aunts and uncles, grandpas, grandmas, don't think that you're too old or that you're too busy or that you're too fearful, something is holding you back. Go ahead and tell somebody about Jesus. Tell them about what you've witnessed. That makes the Lord very happy, and we are all able to do that. We're all able to tell somebody of what we've seen and heard. I hope that you have a wonderful day and that you've enjoyed the story about Naaman getting healed of leprosy and how the little girl told him about the prophet Elisha. Have a wonderful day until we meet again for another story. Bye-bye. Thank you for stopping by. That's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends. Until next time, bye-bye.